Hey, it's Big B, everybody. We're talking teams. Are you ready to talk some teams today? One of my favorite sayings is simply this: that which gets measured gets done. So what should you measure? Like, if that's what gets measured gets done, we have to think about what it is we're actually going to measure. So I'm going to talk about a concept today, and I'm going to talk about the difference between baking and cooking. Is there anybody else out there that loves to cook? Okay, I love to cook. I also love to bake. Now, when you're baking, and I love baking brownies. Matter of fact, my favorite brownie recipe comes from my mother. It's a Dutch recipe, but we use only Canadian chocolate. So if you want your brownies to be next level, I want you to incorporate Canadian chocolate. It's actually called Fry's Canadian Chocolate. Maybe we can include a link right here where you can download Fry's Canadian Chocolate right here in the video, and I'll show you a picture. It's a yellow can. It's amazing. So when you make your brownies, here's what I've learned. If you follow the recipe, if it says a teaspoon of vanilla or a teaspoon of salt, or it asks for a cup of chocolate using the Fry's Canadian cocoa, when you follow the recipe exact when baking, you end up with amazing brownies. As a matter of fact, they're so good, people come from all over the neighborhood when they hear that I'm making them. Cooking is very different. When you're baking, you have to follow the exact recipe. When you're cooking, however, you can use creativity. Last night I was on my new Blackstone grill. I was in the backyard and I looked in my fridge and said, what do I have? Well, we'd made pizzas the night before on our Uni pizza oven, and now we're cooking on the Blackstone grill, and I decided I was going to make an Asian stir fry. So I looked at the ingredients I have left over for pizza. I looked at what I have for peppers or onions and all the different ingredients, and I just started throwing them all on the Blackstone, putting them all together, adding some sesame seeds, tasting what the sauce tastes like, adding some of that teriyaki sauce to the chicken and sauteing it all together. And then I thought, what's missing? Noodles or rice. So we put in some Japanese noodles in there, stirred them all up, and guess what? It was flipping amazing. You see, with cooking, I got to be creative. I got to add my own flavor. I got to be able to just use creativity to make something that was amazing. But with baking, you have to follow the recipe. When it comes to success in business, before you get creative and do it your way, I'm going to ask you to follow the recipe that we have proven for success. You see, when you have a recipe for success and you follow it, the likelihood of having success is much greater than when you think you know more. Here's what I tell my coaching clients. I say that the wisdom of the crowd who's created the systems and the processes sells 200, 300, and 400 houses a year. And so until you're selling more than that, how about we just follow their recipe? You see, if you've done 20 houses a year for the last 5 years, your recipe works for selling 20 houses a year, but it's not going to take you to 60 or 80 or 100. And if you want to do it while creating leverage, you have to learn what those key ingredients are. And that's why I say that that's what gets measured gets done. We measure the things that matter. So let's talk about the things that people currently measure in their real estate businesses. Let me give you a few of them. Here's one. We measure gross commission income. How many of you heard, what's your GCI? What's your gross commission income? Well, it's a fun number. It's a good measuring stick to know how you're doing. It's really not the most important one. The second matrix, or the second number that we always track, is net commission income. And that is, after all of our expenses, what is our net? Another measure of success is people like to track the number of transactions did they do. How many families did you serve? I don't like to count houses. I like to count families. How many families did we help buy a house or sell a home this year? So let's talk about who we serve and whose lives we're making a difference or an impact in. We like to track client conversion rate. How many leads come in? And what's our conversion rate to sales? We also like to track retention rates. When we get a client, how many of those clients 5 to 7 years from now buy from us again? Another matrix we track is market share. That's one of my favorite ones. It's, I was coaching a gal in Houston, Texas, and she says, Verl, I don't want you to coach anybody else in my market. And I says, great, as long as you have at least 40% market share. So we did a quick search. She was selling 250 houses a year. We looked at her community, and guess what her market share was? 2%. There's enough business out there for everybody. And unless you have 40%, just keep working your area and keep growing it. The next thing we like to track, and this is probably the most important thing, is we want to know how many conversations it takes to get an appointment and how many appointments it takes to get a closing. And if you track those three key metrics in your business, everything else falls into place. We spend so much time talking about our GCI or how many houses we sold, and those are things that you can't do anything about going forward. But if I know it takes 100 conversations to make an appointment and it takes 3 appointments to get a closing, I know exactly how many conversations I need to get the number of sales I need in the month or the week or the year. You see, if you work back into tracking the right things and you understand that which gets measured gets done, that's when your business really starts to take off. You see, success is actually predictable. Greatness, ladies and gentlemen, is predictable, and so is average. What I mean by that is if we look at what you're currently doing, we look at the activities you do, we can predict what your results are going to be. If average is predictable and greatness is predictable, today, right now, you get to choose. What do you want? Do you want to be average anymore? Are you ready to take it to the next stratosphere? Because if we want a different result, all we have to do is increase the activities that will give us that result. It seems like it's complex and it seems like it might be too simple to some, but the reality is if you don't track it, you don't know. When I say that which gets measured gets done, it's because we're baking today, ladies and gentlemen. We're following a recipe to success. I know that if you get and you use your daily success habits to get 61 points a day, I know that between 240 and 260 points, every time you get in that little window, you're going to have another closing. So if you want more closings, we just get more points. It's as simple as that which gets measured gets done. I'd like to give you a copy of our daily success habits tracker, but at this time I want you to actually look at it as not a tool that I can use to hold you accountable, but I want you to use it as an awareness tool so you can become aware of whether or not your actions are consistent with your goals. And if they're not, all you have to do is increase the activities if you want to increase the result. Are you ready? Are you ready to start becoming aware? Accountability isn't something somebody else does to you. Accountability is a choice you make. And the moment you choose accountability is the moment your life begins to change. Start with your daily success habits tracker, and let's really start tracking whether or not you're consistent with your goals. And remember, that which gets measured gets done. And don't forget to download the link or click on the link to get your Canadian cocoa and your daily success habits tracker.